good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. Hope everyone had a wonderful dinner. It's 7:30, so we will start today's webinar. So welcome to Navigating Your Tax and Retirement Planning as a Self-Employed Person's webinar. And some of you may know tax filing season is right around the corner. And we are very happy today to have Iras with us again this year to share with you more about tax planning as an SEP.
Okay, so thank you for inviting us. It's a pleasure to be here.
Happy to have you as well. Okay, so for today, we will be sharing with you what exactly are your CPF obligation as an SEP, especially if you are new to the industry. Okay, so I got read through your registration. I did see that some of you are new to the industry. You haven't been a self-employed before. So hopefully today's webinar will be useful for you. And for very seasoned SEPs, right? Hopefully today's session is more of like a refresher to let you understand more on ways to grow your savings and kind of remind you how you are supposed to file your taxes every year. Okay, so it happens once a year, so this is a good refresher course for you. Okay, so with that, let's start. Okay, yeah. Okay, so so first thing first, some admin matters. We will be using the chat as a platform to broadcast messages. So do look out for helpful links throughout the session, okay? So if you have any questions along the way, please use the Q&A button in our menu bar below to submit your questions. Please do not share your personal details in the Q&A. And if you face any technical issue, you can try leaving the Zoom webinar and joining again using the same link. Hopefully it can resolve the problem. Okay, with that said, I have an icebreaker question for everyone here. So we know that there are many types of SEPs, right? And you could be an entrepreneur, you could be a social media influencer, financial agent, etc. So do share with us using the poll on screen right now. What kind of SEP are you? So understand some of you may be doing more than one job, so you can select multi-options in the poll below for those that are applicable for you. Okay, so I do see majority of you, about 30% are financial advisors, about 20% of you are sole proprietor. Okay, and then about 11% of you are private hire car or taxi driver. Okay, very interesting. So I do see that majority of you are financial advisors and a handful of you are either sole proprietorship or even private hire driver. So hopefully with this information, we can contextualize some of our content to better address your questions during the Q&A segment. So thank you everyone for participating. Yeah, I will end the poll right now and proceed with the webinar. Okay, so we listed a few types of SEPs in the poll, right? So if you have selected the option others, if you have seen it just now, perhaps you are not so sure whether your current career, your current job, business is classified as an SEP. So here are some guidelines. So if you are under a contract for service, meaning you work for yourself and not for any other company and have a derived trade income, you are considered an SEP. So I believe most of you in the audience today are Singaporeans or PR with a CPF account. So if you are identified as an SEP and is a Singaporean or PR, you will also be eligible under the CPF self-employed scheme for CPF contributions. Okay, so do note that the CPF self-employed scheme is not the same as CPF contributions for platform workers, okay? So for those of you who are SEPs who also do platform work at the site, for example, you're a fitness coach and also do Grab, Gojek on the site, note that only your SEP income, meaning your fitness coach, your fitness coach or your private tutor income, will be under the CPF self-employed scheme. Your PW, your platform work CPF obligations are calculated separately and credited to your CPF accounts by your platform operators monthly. Okay, so for foreigners, if you happen to join us today, the CPF schemes may not be applicable for you because you do not have a CPF account, but you can still tune in today to find out more about tax filing, and our IRAS colleagues will share more later. Okay, so with that segue, I'll now hand the time over to Amy to kick off our webinar to Understanding Your Taxes. Amy, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Marilyn. So for that essential overview of CPF for self-employed person and platform workers, so let's now shift to tax filing. So just now we saw that some of you selected platform workers in our earlier poll. While there are differences in CPF rules, for tax purposes, the fundamental rule is the same. So whether you're a self-employed person or platform worker, you must report your earnings as trade income on your tax return and not as salary or employment income. So this income is then combined with any other personal income you have, such as employment salary or rental income, and the total is taxed at the individual income tax rates. Getting this classification right is the critical first step. So now, who actually needs to file an income tax return? So let's go through the three main scenarios where you are required to file a tax return. First, if you have received a filing notification from IRAS via SMS, email, or letter, which are typically sent from late February to mid-March, you must file. So even if you had no income in that year. Yeah. Second, if you did not receive a notification from IRAS, you must file if your annual net trade income, including platform worker earnings, exceeds $6,000. So to be clear, your net trade income is calculated by taking your total revenue, meaning all the money you receive from customers, and then subtracting your allowable business expenses. Finally, the third scenario, you must also file if your total annual income from all sources exceeds $22,000. For example, if your income from driving plus your part-time employment income together exceeds $22,000, you are required to file. Okay, so what you see here in this slide is an example of how tax is calculated. First, we take your revenue or sales and subtract allowable business expenses to determine your net trade income, or in short, we call NTI. Then we deduct 2.5 times of your actual donations if have, and apply any personal reliefs to arrive at your chargeable income. After that, you can refer to the individual income tax rate table on the IRAS website to find the applicable tax rate based on the calculated chargeable income. So for this example, the chargeable income is $36,000. If you look at the blue box on the right, you can see that the first $30,000 is taxed at $200 and the remaining $6,000 is taxed at 3.5%. Therefore, the total tax payable is $410. Okay, so in the next slide here, what you see here is a sample of a tax bill, or officially known as the Notice of Assessment. On the left blue section, you'll find all your taxable income, and note that the trade amount refers to your NTI after deducting your business expenses. So the calculation will flow from left to right, and in the middle yellow section are all your deductible donations and tax reliefs. And on the right gray sections, you can view your chargeable income, the applicable progressive tax rates, the tax payable amount, and your payment due date. Okay, so during the filing process, one of the key figures you need to determine is your total allowable business expenses. So in essence, you can claim business expenses that were incurred to earn your self-employment income or platform worker earnings. However, personal and capital expenses, such as your own medical costs, should not be included. Some examples of allowable business expenses are staff costs, running expenses, and finance or professional fees. On the other hand, these allowable expenses include personal and capital expenses. So for those of you using your personal car to meet clients or delivery, note that you are not permitted to deduct private car expenses, as this is explicitly prohibited by law, except for private hire car drivers who can claim car-related expenses.
So actually with that, I have a question. So let's say you are an FA or real estate agent. So we see quite a significant amount here of people here today are FAs, right? And they decide to take Grab or Gojek to their client's place, right, for their appointments instead of driving their own car. So will that be then considered an allowable business expense?
Okay, that's a very good question. So the answer is yes. Since services like Grab and Gojek are comparable to taxis, they are generally accepted as a deductible business-related transportation expense. Okay, so an alternative to deducting your actual business expenses is to use the deemed expense amount based on the FEDR, or the full term is fixed expense deduction ratio. So this option is available for 3 specific groups only, which is private hire car or taxi drivers, commission agents, and delivery workers. So for commission agents, with the condition that your annual gross commission does not exceed 50,000, you can choose to claim 25% of your gross commission as deductible business expense. If not, you can only claim actual and allowable business expenses incurred in the previous year. As to private hire car or taxi drivers, regardless of your gross driving income, you can choose to claim 60% of your gross income as a deductible expense. And for the last group, the delivery workers, if your gross income from delivery services is 50,000 or lesser than that, you can choose to claim a specific percentage of your income as business expenses. So it is based on your prescribed delivery modes, and the applicable percentages are 20% for delivering on foot using public transportation or non-power assisted bicycles, or 35% for delivering by PMDs, PABs or motorcycles, or 60% for delivering by vans. So if your delivery method is none of the above mentioned, for example, you are using a car, lorry, or truck, which is not mentioned, then this deemed expense is not applicable to you. You'll need to deduct your actual business expenses instead.
So on that point, I have a question again. So if a SEP meets the condition of this FEDR, right, and will it be then compulsory for them to use these percentages to determine their net trade income?
No, it is not compulsory to use these percentages. And to clarify further, maybe we can move on to the next slide. Yeah. So some of you may be wondering what to do if you qualify to claim the deemed expenses, but prefer to deduct your actual allowable business expenses, maybe because the amount is higher, which would be more beneficial as it would result in a lower tax payable. So in that case, you'll fall under scenario 1 in this slide. During your income tax filing, you can still choose to claim your actual business expenses since this is the better options. Similarly, in scenario 2, if you do not meet the conditions to claim the deemed expenses under the FEDR, you will deduct your actual business expenses to determine your NTI. And for more info on the FEDR, you can scan these QR codes or visit the go.gov.sg website address stated below. Okay, so regardless of the type of expenses you're claiming, it's important to keep proper records and accounts for 5 years, such as invoices, receipts, and other relevant documents. This ensures your income and business expenses can be accurately determined and help in case of an audit. To clarify what is the 5-year record-keeping rule, if you're filing for your 2025 income expenses this year, which falls under the year of assessment 2026, you are required to keep those records until 31st December 2030. And for qualifying small businesses, you can keep a simplified business records, such as a listing of your expenses, statement of accounts, and balance sheets, instead of the source documents like individual receipts and invoices. You can also go to go.gov.sg/IRAS-RKA to access our record-keeping assistant. So lastly, you can keep all records and accounts in digital copy format and are not required to submit them to IRAS unless requested. Yeah, meaning that you don't have to keep the paper version.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Amy, for introducing how taxes are being calculated. But I know some SCPs here, you are also PWs, right? But I think one more thing that everyone wish to know today is how to reduce their taxes. Okay, so it's a very important question. I guess many of you were asking that question as well. So maybe you can take this time to share with our audience today, what are the available personal tax reliefs that can help to reduce their payable tax?
Yeah, sure. Okay, yes, so personal reliefs is also one of our very popular topics. And in this slide, you'll see the common tax reliefs that can be claimed to reduce your income tax. This is provided you are a Singapore tax resident and meet the eligibility condition for each relief. So the reliefs marked in green are those that will be automatically included in your filing if you qualify for them. And for example, if you contributed to your MediSave last year, the amount will automatically be reflected in your income tax return online. And for other reliefs, they may either be pre-filled based on last year's filing, or you may need to manually add, edit, or remove them, depending on your eligibility. As we won't be going through each relief in detail during these sessions, you can scan the QR code or visit the website to learn more about how each relief works and what are the conditions to qualify for them. So I have shared about how your taxes are calculated and what are the available tax relief. I will now hand the time back to Marilyn to share with you what are your MediSave obligations as a SEP.
Thank you, Amy. Okay, so for those of you who have just started your journey as an SEP and do not know this, is that there is actually a need for you to self-contribute to your MediSave account under the CPF Self-Employed Scheme, or for short, we call it SES. Okay, so as mentioned, this is a bit different from our PW contribution scheme. The following segment that I will be sharing, the calculation, is only applicable if you are an SEP, which includes taxi drivers with your street hail earnings, not your platform earnings, and other services such as fitness coach, private tutor, freelancer, for example. Okay. So first thing to note is, remember earlier, Amy did mention that there is a need to declare your NTI, right, after each work year. So from 1st March to 18 April, you are supposed to declare your net trade income for the work done last year in 2025. So using this NTI, CPF will then calculate your MediSave payable. Okay, so your MediSave contribution will vary for different age and income. So if you wish to find out exactly how much your MediSave you need to contribute as an SEP, you can scan the QR code on screen to use the CPF Self-Employed MediSave Contribution Calculator, or click on the link that my colleague has just dropped in the chat box. Okay, so in addition, you can also check your MediSave payable by logging into our CPF website using your SingPass and then accessing your self-employed employment dashboard. Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, your MediSave contributions will vary depending on your age and income. So here is a table summarizing the MediSave obligation for different age bands of varying NTI. So let's say you are an SEP at the age of 46 years old this year. Okay, you belong to the age band of 45-year-old to below 50 years, and let's say your NTI is between 6K to 12K, your MediSave obligation will be 5%. If you are the next NTI band, your MediSave contribution will slowly phase in from 5% to 10%, and if you are earning a NTI above 18,000, your contribution is at 10%, up to $8,880 cap. Okay, so to find out the MediSave rates applicable for 2025, you may also use the link that we have just dropped in the chat. Okay, so now that you have know how much you're supposed to contribute to your MediSave, do take note that there is a 30 days payment due date for your contributions to MediSave. Okay, so you can choose to pay any of your MediSave obligation via these two methods. Firstly, through Giro installments, where you can let CPF deduct from your bank account monthly. Okay, so this will save you the hassle of conscientiously making payment every month, or wanting to part, or maybe doing a one-time payment. Okay, but for let's say you want to do a one-time payment, you can also do it through our PayNow via the MMSP form on our CPF website, the MediSave, Manage Your MediSave Payable form. Yes, MMSP. The form link will also be dropped in the chat, or you can scan the code in on the screen right now. Okay, so we have been talking about MediSave contributions for SEPs, and I know some of you in the audience do platform work like your delivery services or private hire services as well to supplement your income. Okay, so as a platform worker, or for short, we called PW lah. Okay, most of you would have known that since last year, 2025, there are differences in your CPF contributions as a PW compared to an SEP. So for those of you who are born after 1995, the changes would be mandatory for you, and for those PW born before 1995, you are given a choice whether you want to opt into the new scheme or not. So we will not be diving too much into the changes today, as the focus is really on SEPs. But I just want to highlight to the handful of you here today, if you are working as both an SEP and also doing PW work, if you wish to find out more about CPF contributions specifically for your platform work, you may refer to our recorded webinar on our YouTube channel. You can also find the video link in the chat that my colleague will be posting. Okay, so you can click on it, highlight it, like it on YouTube, bookmark it, and revisit after today's webinar. Okay, so for this segment, my focus will solely be for SEPs who also receive PW earnings. So how exactly for this individual, how is their SEP MediSave payable being calculated by CPF board after they have declared their SEP and PW income to IRAS? Okay, so once you have successfully filed your income, IRAS will share your assessed net income with CPF board. Okay, then CPF board will then deduct your platform work earnings as declared by your platform operators from the total assessed NTI given by IRAS and calculate your SEP MediSave payable from there. Okay, the reason we deduct is because since the introduction of the PW scheme, your PW earning CPF contributions, right, will be credited to your MediSave account every month by your platform operators. Okay, so these earnings will not be subjected for the MediSave contributions under the self-employed scheme. So do take note of that. I think I've repeated this point quite a few times. And on top of that, if you wish to find out how the calculations is being done, you will receive a notice of CPF contributions from CPF board with the calculations being stated. And you can actually use that to see how your MediSave payable under SEP income is being calculated. Okay, so just to ensure that your NTI for your self-employed is correctly derived by CPF board, please declare your self-employed income and your platform work income to IRAS as separate income sources. Okay, so Amy will actually bring you through the step-by-step instructions later on, so you can take note of that later on. Okay, so by doing this, you will actually help CPF board to ensure accurate computations of your MediSave payable under the self-employed scheme. Okay, so after you have declared your SCP and PW income, you should be able to see a consolidated statement from IRAS, the different itemized income based on the nature of business. So I'll show you an example on my next slide. Cool. So as you can see here, for the top part, is an example of NTI being classified based on the nature of business. Okay. So for PW services like your private hire car driver, you should file it under the taxi/private hire car driver category as shown in the slide over here. And if let's say you also have an SEP job, you should select the appropriate nature of business. So in this case, this is someone who actually works as a tutor or lecturer. They actually select this as the category and file their SEP income separately. Okay. This is more of a scenario-based example. So let's meet Joseph. He is 45 years old this year. He is a freelance tutor and also doing platform work as a private hire car driver. So for his SEP worker, which is the freelance tutor, his net income is at 23,000. Okay, so for his PW work as a private hire car driver, after deducting the 60% FEDR for car, his PW income is 20,671. Okay, then the next step that what Joseph do is he will file his SEP and PW earning as different income sources. And with that, IRAS will then assess both incomes and derive the final NTI of Joseph, which is going to be 43,671. Okay, so you can see step one, this is how the NTI is being assessed. Okay, and then this information, IRAS will then share with CPF board. And what CPF board will do is we will deduct Joseph's platform work net earnings based on what his platform operator has declared to derive the 23,000. Okay, so this 23,000 will be Joseph's SEP NTI, and we will calculate his MediSave payable using this 23,000. Okay, so since he is 45 years old and his income is 18,000, so as I mentioned earlier on the different income, different age band will have different rates, right? His MediSave contribution rate is actually 10%. So after calculation, his MediSave payable for his SEP income is $2,300.
So, Marilyn, based on what you have shared earlier, you mentioned about the self-employed scheme where SEPs are required to make MediSave contributions. So maybe you can share with everyone what are the benefits of contributing to MediSave?
Sure thing. So as most of you already know, as an SEP, you are working for yourself, right? And there could be no medical benefit or medical leave like an employee for a company. Okay, so MediSave contribution actually plays a very important role to help ensure that your healthcare adequacy is being met. So how so, yeah? So life is very unexpected. Everyone know that, right? There will be times where accidents happen and you require large amount of cash to pay for your healthcare needs. Okay, so sometimes there may be a medical emergency, which resulted in large medical bills. To manage such potential cash flow issues, this is where your MA savings will come in handy to ensure that you continue to have access to basic healthcare services. Also, there is no corporate health benefit as an SCP, unlike an employee, right? So sometimes large medical bills from your work injuries are not covered under insurance. So this is why MediShield Life is here to provide you with a basic medical insurance so that it can help you cover large bills like your hospitalization costs. And lastly, due to the nature of some job, in the very unfortunate event, let's say you are met with a prolonged injury and you cannot work for a long period of time, this means you will lose your main source of income. Okay, so to help you tide over until you recover, there is also CareShield Life that can provide you lifelong monthly cash payout should you become severely disabled or require long-term care. Okay, so as you continue to work as an SEP and continue to contribute to your MediSave, right, there is something that you should take note of, and this a term that I'm going to introduce called the Basic Healthcare Sum. So for short, we call it BHS. So for BHS is the estimated savings that you will need in your MediSave account for basic subsidized healthcare needs when you age. Okay, so it's also the maximum amount that is allowed in your MA for the year. Okay, so for this year, the BHS is actually 79,000, and this value will increase every year. Okay, so some of you may wonder if, let's say, I've been SEP for a really long time, I have been contributing to my MediSave account, and I've already achieved BHS, okay, from my years of MediSave contributions. Then do I still need to contribute? Do I still need to fulfill my MediSave payable? My answer very simple, yes. Okay, so you will still need to fulfill your MediSave payable, but instead of it going to MediSave, if let's say you have already achieved your basic healthcare sum, your BHS, your MA contributions will overflow to your special or retirement account. So special account if you're below 55, retirement account if you're above 55 to meet your retirement needs. Okay, so this is also illustrated in the slide over here on the right. Just to note, the BHS will be fixed when you turn 65 years old. So if you are turning 65 years old this year, your BHS will be fixed at $79,000 for the rest of the year, or for the rest of your life. Okay, so here are some ways to use your MediSave savings for your healthcare needs. So you can use it for your child delivery expenses, you can use it to pay for your insurance premiums like your MediShield Life, your CareShield Life, or even for day rehab. So to see the full list, you can visit the MOH website to find out more. Okay, now let's go through what exactly is MediShield Life, okay? So for MediShield Life, it is a hospitalization insurance that protects all Singaporean citizen or Singapore citizen and permanent residents PR against large hospital bills for life, and hence the name MediShield Life. Okay, so this is regardless of your age or any pre-existing health condition. So MediShield Life is being sized to be sufficient for most subsidized treatments in public hospital for type B2 and C wards. This means that as long as you seek hospitalization treatment in a public hospital in a type B2 or C ward, the majority of your bill should be able to be covered by MediShield Life.
Marilyn, since you mentioned about hospitalization, does MediShield Life covers private hospital as well?
That's a very good question, and there's a lot of misconception on this as well. So, MediShield Life actually does cover your private hospital, does cover private hospital as well. Okay, so but then it's also very important for everyone to remember that your MediShield Life, as I mentioned, is being right-sized to subsidize wards in public hospital in type B2 or C wards. So if you decide to go for non-subsidized treatments in a private hospital, for example, the payout from the MediShield Life will seem to be relatively smaller than your actual bill size. Okay, so do take note of that if you are still considering whether to go for subsidized treatment or non-subsidized treatment. Okay, and for those of you who wish to seek treatment in private hospital or choosing your doctor, for example, you may also have considered getting additional private insurance on top of your MediShield Life. Okay, and we usually call this insurance plan Integrated Shield Plan, or for short IP. Okay, so if you recall, I mentioned that your MediSave savings can be used to pay for your MediShield Life premiums. So technically, you can also use your MediSave to offset some of your IP premiums. But do take note that it is subjected to withdrawal limits. So you may not be able to fully pay your IP premiums using MediSave alone. Okay, so currently based on age, you can claim your MediSave to pay for IP premium up to $900 per year. And any excess premium that is beyond the withdrawal limit, you will need to pay for the IP in cash. Okay, so now moving on to CareShield Life. CareShield Life is actually a long-term care insurance scheme. So this CareShield Life actually provides you with greater assurance to afford long-term care if in a situation you become severely disabled. What I mean by severely disabled, it means that you cannot perform 3 out of 6 of the daily activities of daily living. So for short, we call it ADL. Okay, so activities of daily living includes washing, dressing, feeding, toileting, walking / moving around, and transferring. Okay, what I mean by transferring, it will be transferring from chair to bed or bed to chair, for example. It's different from walking, moving around. It's more for walking, moving around, it's more of movement. Okay, not transferring. Okay, so as everyone know, Singapore has an aging population, and by 2030, 1 in 4 Singaporeans aged 65 or older will be 1 in 4 Singaporeans will be aged 65 or older in 2030. Okay, and within this population, 50% of healthy Singaporeans could become severely disabled by the end of their lives. And therefore, it is important for us to plan early for our future long-term care needs, be it through CareShield or even other financial arrangement that you have, so that we do not put unnecessary stress or burden on our families and caregivers. Okay, so just to share what is covered under CareShield Life. It is a universal for Singaporeans born after 1980. And for those of you that are born before 1979, you would be on ElderShield 300 or ElderShield 400. Okay, so if let's say you are eligible for CareShield Life, you will receive an increasing payout from $689 per month until age 67 for your long-term care needs, of which you will continue to receive your payout for the rest of your life or until you recover. Okay, so for the payment of premiums, similarly to your MediShield Life, you can use your MediSave to fully pay for CareShield Life, and it is payable for Singaporeans aged 60 to 67.
Thanks, Marilyn. Yeah, so I think what you have shared is very helpful in summarizing how CPF can support everyone in their healthcare needs. And maybe you can also share a bit more about how CPF can support one in their retirement.
Sure thing. So I think everyone know that CPF plays a significant role in helping you and me achieve retirement, right? So one way CPF actually support us is by providing very attractive interest to help us grow our retirement savings for our retirement needs. Okay, so for those of you with us today who are below 55, you will receive a interest rate floor of 2.5% per annum in your ordinary account and 4% per annum in your SA and MA account. But to help to grow your savings further, the government actually provide an extra 1% interest for the first 60,000 of your combined CPF balances. Okay, so technically you receive up to 5% interest rate for the first 60K of your CPF balances. Now, for those of you in our audience that is above 55 years old, the government hope to grow your savings even faster because you're approaching retirement age, right? So you will earn the extra 2% for your first 30,000 of combined CPF balances and 1% extra on the next 30,000 CPF balances. Okay, so for your other CPF account savings, you will continue to earn the interest rate floor of 2.5%, 4%, and 4% to your OA, MA, and RA respectively.
I see. So now that you mentioned that CPF has attractive interest rates to help grow our retirement savings, maybe you can also share how exactly SEPs can leverage on CPF to build their retirement savings?
Yep, and the first tip that I'm going to share is actually topping up your CPF account with cash. Okay, so for those of you who are below 55, you can top up your SA up to the prevailing full retirement sum or FRS to enjoy the 4% interest rate. And for those above 55, you can actually top up your RA up to the prevailing enhanced retirement sum, or we call ERS. Okay, and for those of you who don't know, you can actually earn tax relief along the way if you make cash top-ups to your SA or RA. Okay, so if you make cash top-up to yourself, you can earn up to $8,000 worth of tax relief and another 8,000 when you top up to your loved one's CPF account. But take note, the tax relief is only eligible for top-ups up to the full retirement sum FRS. Any top-ups that are beyond full retirement sum up to the ERS will not enjoy tax relief.
Yes, so this is actually one way to reduce one's payable taxes as well. But let's say as a SEP, you have been doing really well and managed to hit your FRS or ERS limit, you can also choose to top up to your MediSave account to enjoy tax relief as well.
That's right. So on that point, if let's say, as Amy mentioned, you manage to top up your RA to the full retirement sum and wish to find other means to enjoy the tax relief, so for members between 55 to 65, you can actually make cash top-ups to your MediSave account up to the prevailing BHS. Okay. But a side note, for those of you who wish to top up to both RA and MA, the tax relief cap, as I mentioned earlier, the 8,000 to yourself and your loved ones, they are actually shared across for cash top-ups to MA as well as RA. So for SEPs who are eligible for MediSave top-up, do take note that you must be up to date with your MediSave obligations. So for example, you have already fully paid your MediSave payable or have an active installment plan to pay back your MediSave payable before you can do this top up to your MA and in order for you to enjoy the tax relief. Okay, so in addition to cash top-ups to boost your savings in your MA and RA, we have two other schemes to further support or further boost the savings of SEPs or even CPF members who have very low CPF savings in their RA and MA. Okay, so the two schemes I'm going to introduce today is the Matched Retirement Savings Scheme, for short MRSS, or the Matched MediSave Savings Scheme, MMSS. Okay, so MRSS and MMSS allow eligible CPF members to receive a dollar-for-dollar government matching grant when they make or receive cash top-ups to their RA or MA account respectively. Okay, so for MRSS eligible members, you do get to enjoy up to $2,000 per year with a lifetime cap of $20,000 in matching grants on cash top-ups to your RA. And for MMSS eligible members, you get to enjoy up to $1,000 per year in matching grants on cash top-ups to your MA, your MediSave account. Okay, and your next question will be, oh, then how do I know whether I'm eligible? Very easy. You can check your eligibility by logging on to our CPF website. You can access your retirement dashboard or healthcare dashboard to check whether you are eligible for MRSS or MMSS. Okay.
And to add on, cash top-ups that attract MRSS or MMSS matching grant will not be eligible for tax relief. So please take note of that.
That's right, but you can continue to enjoy tax relief for cash top-ups that are not eligible or do not enjoy the matching grant. Okay. Okay, so lastly, the last way to boost your savings is something known as the top up to your 3 CPF account. Okay, so for SEPs, you can choose to make voluntary contributions to all 3 of your CPF account as a form of voluntary contributions. So this actually helps to build your savings in terms of retirement, housing, and healthcare adequacy. Okay, so currently SEPs are not able to offset their future MediSave payables using the MA component for this VC3A top up amount. However, we have received various feedback from the ground and recognize that we can better support SEPs in their healthcare needs. So we are currently reviewing this rule. So do keep a lookout for our official announcement if there is any update on this. Okay, so Amy, maybe for now you can share with us what are the other tax benefits for SEPs who have made their mandatory MediSave contributions and even choose to make voluntary contributions to their accounts.
Yes, so from the year of assessment 2026, your mandatory MediSave contributions will now receive a full tax relief regardless of your NTI. And aside from mandatory contributions, a frequent question we always receive is that how much can I contribute voluntarily to maximize my CPF tax relief? So here's how you calculate it. First, you find the lower of the two numbers, either 37% of your net trade income or the CPF annual limit of 37,740. Then from that lower number, you subtract any mandatory MediSave you've already paid for the year. So the result is the maximum voluntary contribution you can make for tax relief purposes. And that covers the CPF relief. I will now pass the conversation back to Marilyn.
Okay, thanks, Amy, for explaining that portion. Okay, so one last thing that I just want to share with you guys, a very good tip is there is no need for you to do lump sum top up. Okay, so we understand sometimes as SEPs, sometimes you would prefer to have more cash flow for your operating expenses, and hence you may find it challenging to perform these top ups in lump sum, right? So one handy tip will be you do not need to subject yourself to lump sum top-ups or voluntary contributions. You can instead consider making small and regular top-ups each month to leverage on the power of compound interest, okay? So referring to the example on screen, you can start small, maybe just $50 per month. And by the 5th year, this $50 will earn up to $300 worth of interest. By your 10th year, you will have earned about 1,300, and by your 20th year, you can technically earn up to $6,000 worth of interest from just $50 per month, okay? So do not worry too much or feel too intimidated of topping up your CPF account in lump sum, okay? You can always do small but regular top up every month.
That is true. So I guess everyone can start preparing for their retirement by taking small steps and making small contributions regularly. And you can eventually let your savings grow slowly and reap your rewards as you approach your retirement age. But I am also aware that SEP's income can be quite volatile. So there'll be good and bad times. Are there other government supports provided for SEPs to tide them through tougher times?
So actually, yes, and I think most of you may already know what support this is. It's actually called Workfare. It's called the Workfare Income Supplement Scheme, or for short WIS. So just maybe give me a few minutes, I'll explain what exactly WIS is. Okay, so for WIS, it basically supports lower wage Singaporean workers, including SEPs, to work and build up their CPF savings by providing them with cash payments or additional CPF contributions. Okay, and in addition, this support is being reviewed regularly to ensure that it continues to meet the needs of Singaporeans. Okay, so I also did see a few questions on WIS, wondering how much exactly do you get from WIS and how to be eligible for WIS. Okay, so how much you get under WIS really depends on your age and your income. Okay, so you will have to meet the eligibility criteria of WIS in order to be qualified for the WIS payout. So besides the age and income, if you wish to find out the full list of criteria, please visit our CPF WIS site. We will share the link later on. Okay, so for those of you who already know that you are eligible, you may use the online WIS calculator to estimate the amount of WIS you'll receive. So the QR code is on screen right now, or you can use the short link to assess it. Okay, so for your information, from work year 2025 onwards, annual payment will be increased up to $3,267 for all eligible SEPs, and you will get this support through 10% in cash and 90% in MediSave. Okay, so maybe for this part, you can, for Amy, maybe you can share with our audience what's the first step they need to do to receive WIS as an SEP.
Sure, no problem. So the first step is actually quite straightforward. So you need to declare your NTI to IRAS. And if you receive a filing notification from us, or if you meet the income filing requirement, you should file during the income tax filing period from 1st March to 18 April. If you did not receive a notification or meet the requirement, you can still file your previous year's income by 31st October to receive your qualified government payouts. So this is crucial because as some of you may know, since 2024, ours had been the sole agency collecting this income information on behalf of the whole of government for all such schemes.
And in addition, second thing that you need to do in order to be eligible for WIS is you need to make contributions to your MediSave account. So if your NTI, after excluding your net earnings from platform work, so we are looking at SEP NTI alone, is above $6,000. You need to make your MediSave contribution based on your NTI earned for the work year. So just to note, the contribution amount to qualify for WIS may differ from your actual MediSave payable. So why so? Is because your MediSave obligations under the self-employed schemes may be adjusted based on your previous year losses or excess MediSave contributions. So for those of you whose actual MediSave payable have been adjusted due to these reasons, you may be required to make additional MediSave contributions to qualify for WIS. Okay, so to check the amount of MediSave contributions required to qualify for WIS, you can either use the WIS e-services or use the WIS calculator shared earlier. Okay, so for example, if your NTI is 6,000 or less, and you will need to make your MediSave contributions within 2 years after the year you work in order to be eligible for WIS. Okay, so you can see the amounts required in the purple table here. If you are an SCP, let's say earning less than $500 a month, you will need to meet the eligibility criteria of the concessionary WIS to qualify for WIS. What is concessionary WIS? We will drop the link in the chat so you can find out more. Just to preempt, do check your eligibility for concessionary WIS before making the required MediSave contributions in order for you to be qualified for WIS. Okay, so you can bookmark the link that my colleague has shared and find out more later. Okay, and with that, I hope everyone has a better idea on the type of government support you may receive as an SCP. And if you wish to find out more about WIS, as I mentioned earlier, you can visit the WIS site at cpf.gov.sg/WIS for more information. So I'll now hand the time back to Amy to share with you on the step-by-step process of how to file your taxes.
Okay, thanks, Marilyn. So now let's go over the steps to file your income tax returns. So before you file, you'll need to prepare your key financial figures, which is your revenue, any cost of goods sold, and allowable business expenses. So for those of you with revenue of 200,000 and below, you need to fill out a 2-line statement, which requires you to enter your revenue and adjusted profit or loss. After entering your revenue, you need to manually deduct your business expenses to calculate the adjusted profit or loss amount, which should then be entered into the form. And for those who fill with revenue exceeding $200,000, you need to fill out the 4-line statement, which includes revenue, gross profit, allowable business expenses, and adjusted profit or loss. Okay, so once you've prepared your figures, the next step is to log into the tax portal using your SingPass. In case you concurrently have employment income in the same year, this income will be reflected or filed under number 1, employment income and expenses. As to your SEP income or platform worker earnings, please navigate to number 2, trade, business, profession or vocation sections. There, you will be able to view and, if needed, edit any income details that have been pre-filled by your agency or platform operator. If your self-employment income is not pre-filled, but you did earn income last year, simply select the Add New option and manually enter the details. Okay, then this will bring you to the web page that you'll see on the next slide.
So for this part, right, is this where SEPs and PW's income have to be filed separately, as I mentioned earlier, like different income source?
Yes, you're right. So for example, if the individual had different sources of self-employment income and or platform worker earnings, say working as both a delivery driver and a freelance technician, they can verify their pre-filled delivery income first. Then they can click the Add New button below the delivery income to enter their freelance technician income in a separate 2 or 4-line statement. So for private hire car drivers working across platforms like Grab or Gojek, since the income comes from the same source, which is from driving, they would report their consolidated driving income under a single 2 or 4-line statement. For a detailed step-by-step e-filing guide, please scan this QR code or visit the website address below. From there, you can select the topics you are interested in, and the PDF guides will provide exact instructions on what to select and enter.
Okay, so this one very important. Go and click on the link and then bookmark. Okay, refer to it after today's webinar.
Okay, so lastly, please be reminded that the tax filing period is from 1st March to 18 April. I will now hand the time back to Marilyn.
Okay, yes, so that was the last question. We still have a lot that we are unable to answer, unfortunately. Okay, so if we didn't manage to answer your questions, hopefully if we can provide this resource on screen right now. If you want more tax-related resources regarding SEP, you may visit the IRAS SEP page by scanning the QR code on screen or clicking the link in the chat. Okay, and if you want to stay connected with IRAS, you can also connect IRAS on their socials as shown on the screen. Okay, as for the CPF related questions, if you have any more queries, please visit our SEP page on CPF website to find out more. You can also scan the QR on screen or click the link in the chat. Okay, and if you wish to stay up to date on the latest CPF changes, be it specifically for SCPs or general CPF information, you can connect with us at our socials. So we are on Facebook, YouTube, Telegram, WhatsApp even, and also TikTok for short form media if you're interested in that. And you can consider downloading our CPF mobile app to track your CPF balances and perform simple transactions like topping up to your CPF accounts or even your loved one's account. Okay, so we receive a lot of questions, and unfortunately, due to time, it's already 9:01 actually. We are unable to answer all of your questions. But if there's any more, you can actually get in touch with us. For CPF related questions, you can get in touch with us and using Write to Us function at cpf.gov.sg/write to us. Our CPF officers will try our best to address your query. And for tax related questions, you can get in touch with IRAS officers through their IRAS live chat at go.gov.sg/IRAS-live chat. Okay, so that was our last slide. So once again, thank you, Amy, for being my co-speaker. Yes, you're wonderful.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Yes, happy to have you. Okay, so in the meantime, your feedback is valuable to us. Please share with us your thoughts on today's webinar so that we can continue to improve our future sessions. Okay, so you can scan the QR code on screen or click on the link that my colleagues have shared in the chat. Okay, and with that said, thank you everyone for taking the time off tonight to join this webinar. We hope it was useful. For those of you who wish to revisit today's webinar content, be it you missed it or you can only sit through parts of it, don't worry, the session is being recorded and it will be uploaded on our CPF YouTube channel. So do look out for it when it's being uploaded a few weeks from now. Okay, so that's all for me. All the best to your businesses. Have a wonderful rest of the night and don't forget to file your taxes. It's 1st March to 18 April.
Yes.
Yes, just a reminder on the date. So goodbye. Bye.